Welcome to the OTC podcast, a show where I bring a guest to the outdoors and we bring the outdoors to you. Today, my guest is a legend of South Florida comedy. He is a comedian, he is an impressionist, he is a voice actor, he is a professor. I've never seen him and Clark Kent in the same room together. Please give it up for your next comedian coming to the stage, Mr. Freddy fucking Stebbins!
Hi guys.
What's up, dude?
What's up, my man? How are you? Good to see you, Nico.
Good to see you. Let me get ahead of you so the camera can see.
You're always ahead of me.
Well, it's called being a bottom.
Well, maybe later.
We are today on the Florida Trail.
Yes.
And I brought Freddy out. We're gonna do a little bit of hiking. We're gonna do a little bit of eating. And who knows what kind of eating that might be. It's tacos. You don't know what kind of tacos. See, it just gets more mysterious the more I don't shut the fuck up. But anyway, Freddy, thank you for coming here.
Nico, this is awesome. And I want to correct you. You didn't bring me out. I came out about 15, 20 years ago. But if you want to do that.
We all found out the hard way, huh?
Yes, literally.
So, so Freddy, I've known you for probably a little over a decade.
Yep.
I met you at Taurus, where you used to host a comedy. I think, was it only open mic or was it show then open mic?
It was both. It was
both.
It was a featured show and open mic every Thursday, 51 weeks a year for 5 years. So
I don't think you missed one.
270 consecutive shows. Sometimes with as many as 35 people going on stage.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And how many years did you host that? How long?
I did exactly 5 years and 2 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's still going on, by the way. If you want to check out Taurus, they still have a Thursday. I think it's the same format,
I believe. It's
exactly
the same format, and it's run by some great local comedians.
Yeah, they've switched roles a few times. It might be Daba, it might be Oriel. I'm not sure. They're both great comedians.
It was Oriel for a while, then it's Mike Daba, and oh gosh, the other great comedian, I'm forgetting his name right now. But yeah, it's still there. It's still classic. It's a little different than it used to be.
Yeah, well, you're not there, so of course it's going to be different.
But it's a little more high end now, if you will. But definitely the place to be on Thursday nights for all you comedians.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's kind of a late night one. So if you're looking to party, or no, I don't know. That's not a weird. That's a weird way to advertise Taurus.
If you're looking to have some drinks and.
Yeah. It's a fantastic bar, that's for sure. They have great drinks, great food too.
Yeah.
But
you can party before you go there if you want. You can do whatever you want to do.
That's a good way to save a little bit of money, but it's also not something that we condone here on the OTC podcast.
No.
Don't pregame, especially if you're driving, and don't litter the trail. Hi guys. All right, this is cheesy, I know. I'm still getting over the part where I walk by other people and have to continue the show.
Well, the reason, Nico, why people keep staring at you when you walk by is because you really are the Jesus of South Florida.
Oh, I miss my long hair.
Yeah, well, no, it's still kind of long. I mean, you're kind of like Jesus. Like, you're kind of,
like Jesus.
Like Jesus, you're white.
Jesus 2.0, I know, right?
That's my grandmother's saying. And you, you got long hair, sorta. You're kind of skinny. You're kind of androgynous. You're very Jesus.
My dad is a woodworker named Jose.
Oh, that's right. You're a carpenter?
Yeah. Come
on.
And years ago, Tim Hanlon actually gave me this one. He goes, and I don't believe in myself.
Oh.
So I really am Jesus.
Well, you're on a holy trail right now.
I am on a holy trail.
If you guys can't see this, the trail is filled with these incredible coral Olithic limestone holes now and then.
Yeah, they're kind of like the stigma. What is this? Stigmata.
Yeah, the stigmata.
Yeah, I think this trail has been crucified or at least nailed quite a few times by Italians.
Yes. Yeah.
But anyway.
I used to get nailed.
What happened?
Well, his name was Jose, and I can't. I'm just kidding.
We stopped doing that. But Freddy, I actually, in the process of recruiting people to do the show, I found out that Freddy is one outdoorsy motherfucker. I had no idea, because usually I see you, and it was probably wrong on my part to assume that just because you do a lot of like dress up and changing things, you were more of like maybe a theater kid, which again, it's wrong of me to assume that a theater kid can't be outdoorsy.
Yeah.
So let's ask you now right off the bat, on the Disney princess scale, from Sleeping Beauty to Pocahontas, how outdoorsy are you?
I'm somewhere between Tarzan and Tinkerbell.
Tarzan and Tinkerbell. I think that's the most accurate fucking description.
They are kind of princesses, both of them. Think about it. That's a great question. I've never thought about that. I don't even know who all the princesses are.
You know what? Neither do I. I need to watch more movies before I start filming these episodes, because if somebody talks to me about like I don't know what, there's like a Scottish princess now, I think. And
Really?
yeah, especially with Pixar, I don't know a lot of them. I just kind of know the classic ones.
The Scottish one, what would her name be?
Well, no, she exists. She has a name. I just
she
don't.
does?
I just don't know what it is, and I have a feeling it's gonna be somebody's gonna be naming.
It's Pocahontas.
Pokemon. Oh my god.
Ah, remember Pocahontas?
Oh my god.
She could eat a fine piece of meat as well. I don't know what other princess I could be. Tarzan.
I think
Tinkerbell.
I think the description you gave is freaking perfect.
Thank you.
So, was it all your life you've been doing
Yeah.
hiking and stuff, or?
Yeah, it's by the way, it's okay. Like no one really knows the real me because I'm always dressed or performing as someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've for people that don't know, my entire life I was raised camping,
Straight.
fishing, hiking, diving, boating, and especially primitive hiking and camping in Miami. And that's because my family has a really long heritage in South Florida. They arrived and they actually pioneered the southern part of the Everglades in 1906.
That's amazing.
They were given the land by the government if they cleared it, and they really had an appreciation for the nature and the wildlife back then. They would have Florida panthers killing their hogs in the backyard. I mean,
Holy
it
shit.
was hardcore. And ever since then, my family, all the way back then to my great-great-grandparents, they've taught and instilled in us to love the environment of South Florida. Because really, that's why first people came to Miami, the white people, Americans. It was because of the environment, because of the weather. And and also we camped a lot because my dad worked at Delta Airlines and wasn't that rich. And so we couldn't really stay in hotels all the time. So we would travel around the United States and camp.
That's fantastic. Not that you were poor, but the fact that you made it work.
Well, we preferred it, and
Yeah.
I come from a long heritage of Stebbinses that hunted snakes in the Everglades.
I love that you say it that way. It's because it reminds me of Bagginses.
Bagginses?
Yeah, like Frodo Baggins.
Oh yes, very similar.
The Bagginses, the Stebbinses.
So-
I love that.
Yeah, we've been coming out to the Everglades and especially down to the 10,000 Islands and Cape Sable and the deep waters our whole lives. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, when I called Freddie, I was like, it's a hiking show. He's like, oh, I love to hike. I'm like, yeah? He's like, yeah, I did what was the name of the Grand Canyon one? He's like, yeah, I did that like 4 times. I'm
I've
like,
done
oh.
the north and south rims of the canyon 4 times. I've trekked. I just came back from trekking in the Andes in central Colombia. I've been lucky enough to hike in some very primitive places probably in over 20 countries in the world.
That's amazing.
And I've even at times been completely, not because of choice, but completely stranded on individual journeys. So I'm very happy to be here with
That's
with
amazing.
other people. But yes, it's a part of my background, and I even do eco tours of South
That's
Florida.
right. So yeah, I
Yeah.
introduced you as a lot of things, but one of the, did I say tour guide? I feel like
No.
I don't script any of this,
No.
so oftentimes I'll forget something.
No,
You are a tour guide.
I'm a professor of sociology. I'm a comedian, and I'm also I own a little tiny independent, fascinating little history tour guide, and we do all kinds of things. And one of them is the Everglades, not primitive style like this, but we go on airboats, and I talk about the incredible fauna. And sometimes I take a joke, say something funny.
There you go.
You know, in Cuba, we didn't have the Everglades. We have Foreverglades. It's much better. Forever. You don't know. Happy birthday. Nico,
Okay.
you look like a Formula One, like a poor Formula One driver. Yeah.
Formula One. I love that.
Formula One.
Yeah, wait. You think this looks like a? Let me put the hoodie on. I'll really look like one of those Formula One drivers. Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you look like a Formula One proud boy, which is very similar, but more, from Georgia.
Oh my God, that's too fucking funny. That's too funny.
Oh Lord.
And it sucks for anybody who still likes to wear black and gold Fred Perry. You gotta tell everybody, no, it's not me. I'm not one of those guys. It's
I
not
don't
me.
have any Fred Perry.
No.
Well, I have a pair of Freds. That's different.
Uh-oh.
Anyways.
Is that what you call your nuts?
Oh God, here we go.
Pair of Freddies.
Pair of nuts. Anyways, yeah. So I do all 3, and I intertwine comedy and everything I do, obviously. So my tours are Got a lot of weird, funny personalities going on.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect any less from you, even right here. I'm actually, we hadn't seen each other in a while, and it just dawned on me how long it took you to wish me a happy birthday.
I see.
How was that born? Because you say it all the time.
It's a true story, man. I grew up down here, and
what's the true story?
Well,
your birthday?
My whole family is pretty gringo. And my mom was born in South America, but she came here. Her parents were not even Colombian, and she came here. So I'm just, but I grew up in Miami, and so all of my friends and many of my relatives now are Latino American. And when I grew up, every old man I talked to, my neighbor, Dr. Vieira, all of them, they tell me three things. Hey, let me tell you something. Ha 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 ha. Number two, they love America. I love America.
You gotta say.
Except for you look a little bit, I don't know, happy birthday, maybe Argentinian, which means German. And the third thing they'd always say is, bueno, have a good day, and okay, me too, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, like that's just a regular everyday greeting?
Well, at least it was with my neighbor, and he would say it all the time, and I just thought it's kind of funny, and I just started saying it, so now I say it for everything.
It fits perfectly with your personality, though.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Which, like, I think there was one time I was writing for a roast, and there was something about, I think the joke was who. Freddy Stebbins is here. Who knew Cuban was a gender identity? And I had to actually look up. I had to look up to make sure you weren't Cuban, because otherwise the joke doesn't make any sense.
It's weird. Some people assume that I am, Cuban American or.
I mean, there's
a
a lot of white Hispanics.
Right, and then some people assume that I'm not, and then some people assume that I'm straight, and then I don't know what that means. Oh, I lost my hat.
I think that's just a general assumption. and then we have the balls to complain that they put a gay person on a commercial. Dude, it's like being straight is the fucking norm. We'll be okay.
The thing is, though, like I guess I'm technically gay, but like even gay people don't like. I'm not completely in their club either.
You're like Dumbledore gay.
Yeah, I'm like Dumbledore gay. Yes. So I don't really know what. I don't know. I don't live in that world either, except on weekends.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I don't. I'm just kind of a mix of. I'm a mix,
Don't get me wrong. I think labels are good to help us like understand certain things, but sometimes when we try to categorize things into like literal boxes, it doesn't always fit into one fucking box. It's not that simple. So I can not understand like be in your shoes, but understand why you would want to say that, like, even though your sexuality is pretty clear, you don't really know how gay you can call yourself. I get it.
Everyone should just be who they are.
I agree.
I just happen to be someone that likes lots of different things,
including dick.
And I'll tell you what, I do like an occasional woman.
It wouldn't be a podcast.
As long as they look like Justin Timberlake.
Listen, it wouldn't be a podcast in 2025 if I didn't do some kind of homophobic sixth grader on the playground joke.
It's so absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's really sad, actually.
Yeah, it can be really annoying. That's why sometimes when I do it sarcastically, I point out that I like how silly I'm trying to be. But before we get too deep down into the rabbit booty hole, there goes another one. I do want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit more about the outdoorsy stuff. Particularly, you went to, was it Carpenter recently, where somebody had an encounter. You had an encounter with a snake. You want to just tell us that story?
Oh yeah, actually, it's amazing. It was just about a few years ago. I was out here, right here, actually about 15 miles north of here, off Monument Road with my brother and my dad. We took a swamp buggy way deep into the Everglades. It took us over an hour and a half to get there to a little camp. There's little camps out here in the Everglades that are still grandfathered in, and they're like a little cabin, and that's about it. And my cousin was there, and we met him. We had a great time. We might have had a few adult beverages, and I decided I needed to go to the bathroom, and they didn't really have plumbing, so I. Is
that really a decision, though?
Well, to go to the bathroom.
to
when
go
you
to
gotta
the bathroom.
That's not a
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
So I went out and, you know, about a few hundred yards away, and I found a little clearing, very much like this, by the way, with one of these pine trees.
Burnt and all?
Yes, and I, you know, squatted next to it and was relieving myself of my pressures. And when I heard a little rattling noise.
What could be rattling in the Everglades?
Yes. And I looked over, and literally just about 10 feet from me was about a 6.5 foot long eastern diamondback rattlesnake.
Oh boy.
And I'm kind of like a dog in some ways. Like I get that weird expression on my face when people see me pooing. But the expression on his face was, I'm going to bite you unless you gently get away from me. I want to tell you something. I'm all in favor of wiping.
It's like, dude,
but
you just pooped on my house.
Literally, I didn't even pull my pants up. I squat backward.
You just like
and then I ran.
Penguined your way back?
I ran back to camp and I was like, here I am, big, you know, outdoorsman, like, oh my God, it's a rattlesnake. And we know that they're out here. There's many of them, in fact. The eastern diamondback. I mean, there's many points to stay. And they're, by the way, they're supposed to be here. Yeah. This is their land.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be pooping on their house. Well,
you know, but well, my cousin said, well, you should have killed it. I was like, kill it?
No.
What am I gonna do? Like, you know, tell him a bad joke or tell him a good joke? Oh, by the way, I performed at a retirement home not too long ago. And
oh no,
they were very old. I'm not gonna lie, they were great people. But I killed. Literally, 5 of them had a stroke. But
I was gonna say, did you have to tone it down and make sure everybody lived through the show?
No, I had to tone it up so they could hear me. but anyways, so the rattlesnake went on its merry way. My cousin said, "You got to kill those things." I would never kill a snake. I said, "Well, they can come back to get you." Well, we left the next morning, and then that afternoon, we find out. We get a call. His wife was there also. He's walking around in the bushes, and my cousin, Craig, steps and gets bit on the toe by probably that same snake or one of its relatives. And let me tell you something. He said it was just a little tiny prick, he said.
Well, what does he think it takes?
Well, what it took was his heart to start slowing down.
Oh my God.
His entire toe to blow up to the balloon size of an eggplant.
Oh my God.
And a helicopter from Naples to come and airlift them out, and 4 days in the hospital and nearly losing his entire foot. And so
he did keep all the appendages.
He did keep all the appendages, although we wish one of them would have been snipped off. But you know, yeah, you know, it's the Everglades are, and any wilderness area is, you have to respect it, and that happens. So hopefully that doesn't happen today. And I think the snake lived. Thank you very much.
Hopefully. Hopefully, because it taught us all a valuable lesson.
Yep.
That your cousin's a dick. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, you really
Craig
like.
Is great. Craig and Scott, they're great.
Yeah, Craig and Scott. Shout out to you guys.
Yep.
But when we are in their homes, when we're in their houses, we can't just show up and be like, we gotta kill you. Hell,
no.
Even if they show up in your house because we built on their homes.
Yes, we did.
It's better for you and for the environment and for the snake to just have it removed safely by a professional.
Of course. Well, and if you're way out here, what you do is you just respect and walk back and
correct
and let it be. But yeah, it was great, and I love the Everglades in particular. I teach a little bit of sociology and culture about South Florida, and people don't realize that you were saying something earlier on the path that people think of the Everglades as a swamp and this and that. Well, what they don't realize is that the Everglades is actually not a swamp. It's actually not a swamp. It's actually a river.
Okay.
It's one of the largest flowing rivers in the world, actually. It flows. The water flows.
Is that part of how a swamp is defined? Something that the water doesn't flow?
So a swamp or a wetland is defined as any sort of land that is saturated for a part of the year by water. A swamp is a wetland that's still. The water is still there. It doesn't flow in or out from anywhere. Maybe sometimes a river will come in, or melt, or a glacier melt will occur, and it'll fill up. But the Everglades is unique. It's actually all of the water in the Everglades, believe it or not, is not which used to include Lake Okeechobee, it undergoes a process called evapotranspiration.
Okay.
And what that means is all the water that you see, and right now this is the dry season, so we're not in the wet parts of the Everglades, but all the water that's in the Everglades, which used to cover approximately 4 million square acres.
Holy shit.
Now it's half of that today. All of it comes from the atmosphere. It's called evaporation. All of it comes from the water that's evaporated from the water here.
Holy shit.
And the plants. And it goes up into the atmosphere, especially in the summer, and it becomes water, and then it flushes back down. And this process has been going on for tens and tens and tens of thousands of years. And it eventually filters down to what we call the Biscayne Aquifer, where all of South Florida gets its water from. The Everglades isn't fed by a glacier or even a river. The Everglades is fed by Lake Okeechobee, which was actually part of the Everglades. So it's a self-inclusive thing. It's pretty cool.
That's
and it's
amazing.
not just swamp, it actually has 8 different types of terrains, including the largest mangrove sea concentration tree coastal area in North America.
Holy
it's the largest, it's the only subtropical region in North America. It's also the home of over 10 highly endangered species, which can only be found, many of them here in South Florida. There's only one, the Florida panther hangs out here. In fact, there's only one species in South Florida that's more rare, and that's Asian Americans.
I didn't. Normally I prepare myself for guests and their punchlines, but Freddy just fucking came out of the blue with that one.
Let me tell you something, you find, I love Asian American, but in Miami, you don't see it, you don't see it. I saw 5 Florida panthers and 2 gray herons, but I've only seen one person from Vietnam.
And you took their hat too.
Yeah, I went to Vietnam before the tariffs,
Oh my God.
And I bought this there, Vietnam.
Forget you do a Trump too.
But I'm not a communist, I'm not a communist.
No
I
Vietcong.
just like cheap products that are built by slave labor. Okay.
No Vietcong, no Vietcong.
Yeah, so you can see I kind of like this place.
Yeah, no kidding, man. And that was such a fucking soul load. I want to say ear load, then I want to say mouth load, then it's just a fucking so much information at once. And that's one of the other reasons why I wanted to start the show, is that a lot of my friends, because I go camping a lot, because I go backpacking, hiking, they're like, you're this like expert outdoorsman, da da da. I know some stuff, but there is so much to learn. This entire motherfucking time, I did call the Everglades a swamp, and in the last 30 minutes, and technically speaking, in the last couple hours, because we did this, we filmed the same episode with Hapi as we filmed today. Just learned so fucking much. Yeah. And I spend a ton of time out here, and I'm still learning something new.
And by the way, don't be ashamed to say you think of it as swamp. Most people assume the Everglades is a swamp, but if you're a biologist, which I'm not, or if you're someone that's very familiar with the ecosystem of the Everglades,
here's a secret.
Or even just Wikipedia.
Here's a secret. You can talk to biologists because you probably are friends with some. That's another reason why I do this show. But sorry, Freddy, go ahead.
Absolutely, it's okay. Science is cool.
Yeah.
It's okay. But the Everglades is a very unique ecosystem in the world, and it's not just this wetland that flows. It actually flows about 2 miles per day. No, 2 miles per hour sometimes. Or it's something like that. It's too slow.
Something about 2 per.
But it actually flows north from about 100 miles north of here, all the way into Florida Bay, which is another ecosystem of the Everglades as well. So we also have different parts of the Everglades. We have what we call the pineland areas, pineland hammocks, right, with these slash pines. We have cypress domes, which we're able to just go into. These are incredible little islands you'll see. If you ever drive to Naples, you see these little islands out there in the sawgrass. Those are called cypress domes. And you'll see the largest wetland prairies in the United States. The largest wetland prairies, sawgrass prairies, they're called, in the United States. You'll see, and you'll come across maybe the Miccosukees who live out here and have lived here for at least 200 to 300 years. But this area was actually inhabited originally by a much older indigenous people, and they were called the Tequestas and the Calusas.
It's pronounced Tequesta, huh?
Yeah, Tequesta.
I went to Tequesta Middle School, but we all called it Tequesta.
Well, that's funny because Ponce de Leon himself, the famous conquistador, he first pronounced it Chequesta.
Chequesta.
So it doesn't matter if it's a T or a Czech or whatever you are, but that's a native American word. In fact, the term Miami comes from the Chequestas. Okay, now there is going to be a quiz later. Just so you know.
We'll do it at the end.
Yeah. So
take notes, everybody.
A lot of history here in the Everglades, which sadly is almost half the size as it was just 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But you got to enjoy it while you can.
Yep, we do. And try to stay as informed as possible, especially with social media right now. I don't know a whole lot about what kind of land development deals are being done, but there are some really interesting pages online, my friend Hebe being one of them, that will share everything you need to know about how to keep putting up a good fight so that the Everglades don't shrink even more than what Freddie just said.
Yeah.
So, Freddie, what do you think? It's getting pretty hot. Yep. It's gonna only keep getting hotter.
Yeah.
We still have to do the sit down portion of this, so why don't we take a little break, sit down, I'll make you a little snacky and you can tell us a bit more about your comedy.
It sounds fantastic. What's your name again?
My name is Young Man Prada, Old Man Stebbins.
This doesn't look like Lion Country Safari.
No. Stay in the car, Grandpa. Stay in the car.
Okay, see you soon.
All right, we're rolling. So, quiet on set.
All right, let me turn this thing off.
Talking to you, Edgar Allan Crow.
Edgar Allan Crow.
We have to start it off with a terrible pun. We absolutely have to.
Of course.
All right, and I have to put this here so that I don't make the same mistake that I did on the last one of when the freaking camera overheated. I had no idea for who knows how long.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But I guess part of what I'm doing on this show is to sort of embrace some of the imperfections, because that is what happens when you go outdoors and when you go to the backcountry.
Yeah. So
let's do it. Welcome back to the OTC podcast. I'm here with my guest, Freddy Stebbins.
Hello, everyone.
And we are at the, I guess you could call this the trailhead. We're in Oasis Visitor Center. We had to come back and get off of the Florida Trail due to camera overheating and us almost overheating a little bit.
Yeah, it got a little hot out there.
So we're still out here. We're sitting in the outdoors, as you can tell by this green grass. It is not turf.
Yeah.
It's very real. So
this is the one place in the last 6 hours where we've been able to see metal or a fence. But yeah, we're right at the edge of the trailhead, and it's been fantastic.
Are you saying great. I'm not metal? I'm not metal.
Oh, you're so heavy metal. You're so good. Punk. You're like Carpenter, pothead, Jesus nature punk.
Would you believe me if I
kind
told you
funny.
I don't? Would you believe me if I told you I don't smoke? And it's not just because my mom is watching.
See,
I really don't.
Clearly, he's high right now, and that's. No, I know you don't, but it's fun to say that.
Yeah, I'm the only Colombian who doesn't drink coffee, play football, and I'm the only, I think, person who doesn't smoke pot to this day. But it's just not for me.
And you're the only comedian that doesn't either. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Very funny, this one. Very funny. Don't let him fool you.
Just like me and the guys who are in rehab.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah. So speaking of comedy,
it's good to see you, by the way.
You too, man. It had been
11 years I've known this one.
Yeah, just about, because it's gonna.
And he's still a twink. No, you're a twonk now.
For you, sugar lips, I'll be anything. Yeah, we met about 11 years ago at Taurus.
Yeah.
I had done the open mic before, but we never really became friends, and I don't blame you, because by the time the open mics portion started, it was like 11 o'clock at night. Everybody's wasted, including me.
Much later.
Yeah.
It was. Those were the days where you did. Sounds like one of my comedian friends. Kind of getting the same reaction. Those were the days where you'd go to open mics, or you'd host your own open mic, but if you got really good, you would try to. That's great. We got a bird up there.
Dude, if he poops,
he's gonna make a deposit.
It'll be the greatest scene.
We do both. We'd have a show where no one gets paid.
Yeah.
And then we'd have the open mic,
And that would attract about 30, 40 comedians sometimes, and we would be up till doing comedy from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning.
It would be a packed out freaking list. It was crazy.
And no one drank.
Yeah. So we didn't really become buddies then, but it was actually John Levine had to fly out to Atlanta and the spot was open. And I said, do you mind letting Freddie know that I'm going to hit him up? Freddie said, sure, whoever the fuck you are, kid.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Come on over.
You better prove yourself.
Right.
And then
totally didn't do that.
and I suppose we had a pretty decent night, and we've been kind of buddies ever since. Yeah. And so, that was when we met. But you started comedy, I think, a while before that, right? Or not that long?
Yeah. I started. I've always kind of done some sort of comedic performance.
Okay.
I started stand-up. Just the first time doing stand-up was 2005, maybe.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I've been doing it ever since. So shoot.
You can cuss on the show. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Nico.
Fisting.
Call me later.
Set the tone.
And 2005 I started stand-up. Before that, I was an improv comic in LA.
Okay.
With a training with the group called the Groundlings, who are famous improvising group, and I did a lot of voices, Universal Studio. I was all over the place. But stand-up, I somehow got the addiction. Well, to a few things, but one thing would be stand-up, and been doing it since 2000. Just stand-up.
2000, 2005.
2005. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And cocaine 2000.
It's funny. Usually people start the other way around.
Yeah. Well, there's some things. Priorities.
Year 5. It's 3 in the morning. I got to do some stand-up.
Yeah. No, I've been doing it so long. I can't even. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you still have a nose? Oh, you meant comedy.
Oh, you know what? You're funny.
We have to keep it silly.
Yeah, no. I started doing stand-up really in college a little bit, and I dabbled in it in LA. And I had some TV success in the early 2000s. But I realized at some point that if you really want to be someone that can get your comedy out there, you got to do stand-up. It's the best forum for you. It's the hardest. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's probably why it's how you get your name out there. Although these days, probably with Reels and TikTok and stuff, it might have replaced a little bit of that, but
I respect guys like you and women like you who in the mid to late, in the mid 2015 or these, that era, you go to these open mics and sometimes it was at a place that wasn't expecting comedy.
Oh God, that happens a lot.
And you're not getting paid.
It's rough.
And you've got 5 minutes and people are just like,
people are trying to eat their chicken wings and you're up there talking about your dick.
Yeah. And it's a real initiation. And so anyone that does stand up to me, I respect if they're good looking.
It's rough. But winning over a crowd like that is one of the most satisfying things ever. Yeah. When people didn't want to hear stand up and all of a sudden now they like you. Yeah. That is one of the most satisfying things to do. And I think it builds you up to a degree. Like obviously I like the rooms where people are there for stand up. It's probably better for the performance. Yeah. But prior to that, the craft, I think it is good to do the bars and the sports
It is.
bars.
There's nothing better than being able to go to a place like, the Flanagan's banquet room at 3 a.m. after a wedding's been canceled, have to pay $10 to rent it, and do jokes to people that happen to be going to the bathroom. It's... there's nothing better than me performing. I used to do Busker Fest, where I'd just get off of the Metro Rail at 5 p.m. on a Friday in the Metro Rail station, subway, and just tell jokes as people are walking off and on the train. There's something masochistic and horrific and embarrassing about it. But at the same time, you learn. You learn. Yeah. You learn to be yourself and to get out there. So
to this day, those are probably my the shows where I have the most difficulty, like the street shows, telling it to the passerbys.
Oh yeah.
We did one of those in Miami with Mary Smith and John Vargas.
Oh my gosh, legends.
Yeah.
Legends.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. John still comes out every now and then. I think Mary started getting back into it, but I won't talk too much about her without her letting me know what she's cool with me talking about.
Yeah. She's one of my best friends. I love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And John's super amazing.
Sharing the stage with them is truly like a Like you feel like, wow, they're allowing me to perform with these guys. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did a show not too long ago with, it was, oh God, if I forget one name, I'm gonna feel like the biggest piece of shit on the planet, but I'm pretty sure it was John Vargas, Adrian Mesa, Matt Z. Jim wasn't there, ironically, or he might have been there for one of them.
Right.
But
Gloria Stefan? No?
No, Gloria wasn't there for that one, but the rest of Miami Sound Machine was. Supposedly the guitar player for that band was my CCD teacher.
Oh.
That's what he claimed, but it was also one
of
Catholic
those.
school, so who knows how many.
Yeah.
This is a very religious and political show.
I had a father,
Catholic church.
Nick Feel Me Sorely, who was a very, okay, I won't tell that joke. Anyways.
It took me a second for the gears to click.
Well, I'm so glad we were able to interview you.
I'm so sorry, Freddie.
Thank you for being on my podcast.
Yeah.
And especially for the crotch shot, which...
I know, right? I made sure to wear the loosest of shorts.
I'm such an a-hole.
I made sure to wear the loosest of shorts. Speaking of a-holes here, no.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about the street shows and the fact that you did that on a subway of all places.
Oh, the Metro Rail. As we call in Miami, the Metro Snail.
The Metro Snail.
Or Metro Fail. Yeah, kind of a la New York, but not really New York. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that's a difficult one for me to do.
Oh man, I've performed everywhere. I've performed it. I mean, thousands of times. And the most bizarre. When you're starting out, you just want to perform anywhere you can.
Yeah.
You know, I've performed at quince parties, and I don't really even speak Spanish. I've performed in nursing homes.
So well, though.
Yeah, I do.
You play that part well too. When you do Old Man Stebbins, it's fantastic.
Oh God. I've performed in restaurants while everyone's eating and there's no comedy show. Just say, hey, you need to do this, I'll give you $50. Walking around while people are trying to get Parmesan. I can't even explain it. Clearly, I'm traumatized by it. I've performed in an airport once, in an airport. It's messed up.
You perform. Tell me about the airport show.
I was at a, I was going to someone's wedding, and in Dallas, Texas, and the whole wedding party seemed to all arrive at the same time at this gate, Delta Airlines, and there was something wrong with the thing, and the party that night was canceled, so we all decided to stay in the airport lounge, which is not very smart. That's a nice look for you.
Thank
kind
you.
of a Salvador.
Yeah, Freddie finally got me a beard. But...
Yeah, Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali.
Yeah, Salvation Dali. Yeah, and basically the bar, I was started doing comedy, and before you know it, the manager of the bar says, we've always wanted to do a comedy night here. It's a true story. And I was like, well, we're part of it. I'll just give you a little bit of money now. We have a stage. And
They
just
gave you money. That's
They gave me like $50, which I made up in spending $500 worth of drinks probably. And we had a comedy show. There was a light in a gate at an airport. I mean, and it was horrible, but it was fun.
Okay, horrible in what sense though? Nobody laughed?
Well, it's hard to say, hey, let me tell you about my mom, when on the other side of the speaker you can hear, now boarding zone 3.
Yeah.
Or, hi, this is Lisette. This is flight 222 nonstop service to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, whatever. Hi, how are you?
Of course it was.
Oh my God, whatever. Oh my God, I'm on TV. Happy birthday. It's hard to do comedy in an airport gate.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I did it.
It's not that I didn't believe you. I just wanted to hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
And were you doing it for the people that you were going to be on a flight with?
I was doing it for the people that I was going to be in the wedding party with in that city, but the event had been delayed, and we got really drunk at the bar, and I started doing comedy, and so we just stayed there, and then somehow an actual physical comedy show started, and then a comedian walked by. And a comedian walks by, some comedian, getting off a flight from Newark, I don't know, and he's walking by the little thing there, and he's like, hey, I do comedy while I'm on stage. Hey, I do comedy. Hey, how you doing? He came up on stage. It's just bizarre.
Him a 5-minute spot.
But when you do comedy and you really are into it, you just perform wherever they tell you. You just do it. I love it.
Yeah, I still like performing in places that are a little odd or weird. I think right now Ellie Rodriguez has a mic at a vape shop.
Oh, I've done vape show.
Yeah.
Oh
and,
my God.
like, that sounds like fun. Any show with Ellie is fun.
Dude, Ellie's great. She's another one.
Yeah.
First time I met Ellie, I was doing stand-up in downtown Miami, and I came in as a different person. So she didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who I was. And I literally came into this place in downtown with a different hair. I put powder all over my face, had different clothes, different accent.
When you say she didn't know who you was, had you guys met before?
No.
Okay, gotcha. So you had never met before, and also.
And I took over the stage as this, kind of Southern. Hi, my name's Roger. I'm actually a flight attendant, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And I tell you, I freaking love y'all people down here. Y'all real friendly. And I had the whole outfit. I mean, the little. And she afterward, and then I came out as myself, and I don't know how we got on that track, but Ellie, yes, and so
doing shows in weird places.
Ellie and I have performed in many places. I used to perform at a vape shop in downtown Miami, which had a upstairs.
I think I remember that
little
one.
hidden weird speakeasy room where people would go up there.
Did Richie Noguera run it?
Yes.
I remember.
Oh my God, Richie Noguera.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, he's one of the first people I seen.
Yeah. The place was only open late at night, and they only sold a few like pipes, and you could bring your own beers, and the only people in the audience were comedians, and there were some others. And then the place mysteriously burnt to the ground.
It burnt to the ground?
Completely burnt to the ground. And the owner, we don't never really know what happened to the owner. Is that interesting?
He just cashed a little insurance check and got the fuck out of there?
Many places like that. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. Well, anyway, that's comedy for you. You'll be performing in places like that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know what kind of mob owner is
the guy who said he was the owner was super nice, but mysteriously burned to the ground and then suddenly have a condo built there.
Yeah, there's been some real sketchy places.
Oh man,
where
sketch.
We've performed.
I've performed in strip bars.
Yeah, I think I've
women. I've done everywhere.
Yeah, Abby Ballin runs a fantastic room at a strip bar, but it's like the side room, like what do they call it? Like the speakeasy room?
Oh yeah.
In Red Light in West Palm Beach. That's an awesome show. You should check it out.
Yeah. No, this was full blown like Tootsies while girls are taking off their clothes on stage with poles and in front of like really, really drunk guys that are married from Kendall or New York businessmen who really are not there to see comedy. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah. No, that
tough.
makes sense. That makes perfect sense. It's hard to compete with titties, especially when they came here for titties, not comedy.
Yeah. And I've tried, but it's just
I'm sure they're wonderful. I'm sure they are.
Yeah. And people ask me sometimes why you don't do comedy as much. Because if you did things like that for years, you're suddenly like, and by the way, you never get paid for those things. Maybe $50 if you're lucky.
I was gonna say that's the craziest part of the airport show is that you got paid for it.
Yeah, but then I spent all the money.
Exactly, yeah.
But there's so many places.
That's probably why they pay so many people in a bar and two free beers or a bar tab. It's like, well, that's where you're going to spend.
That's
it
how
on
it
anyway.
was.
And then it sucks for the people who don't drink.
For 4 years before Taurus, like from 2009 to 14, something like that. For 4 years, I opened one of the first little rooms in Coral Gables at a place called John Martin's. It was a famous Irish bar.
Okay.
And we did that every Thursday. That was the precursor. And some of the greatest comedians in the country would show up there late at night because Forrest Shaw was friends with the people of the Improv, and I had worked. And they would pay, the whole first year I worked there, I got paid in beer. We had Alan Jackson, Ian Baggs showing up, Brett Ertz.
That's
we
amazing.
had, Forrest Shaw's been on the, Conan show. Bobby Lee from Mad TV. And for the whole first year, people would come. By the way, the owner was great of John Martin's. He was great. But for the whole first year, I basically got paid, $50 of beer tab.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had to bring my own stage, pallets of wood from behind like the Publix.
Yeah.
Man.
I've thought
that's how you do it.
I've thought about building stages to rent out to other comics.
Oh my God.
Make a little extra money on the side, and then I can really elbow my way into getting booked.
Oh my God. You got to have a good stage. I would at the Taurus. We're talking about this place called Taurus. They had a stage, but sometimes the stage was broken or it was wood. for the first year, I'd go every week and have to replace the stage right before the show because the wood was thrown away. So I'd get a pallet from, you know, the Milam's, and oh, we can't start the show yet. I got to go get a stage. And I'd street over there to steal a pallet, put it in the back. And then one show in 2018, I used one of those because the stage was, and in the middle of the show, packed, there was 100 people in the tour. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of,
I'm like, in our next comedian, I was killing it. The next comedian is one of the greats. She's fantastic. Give it up for, I don't know who it was, Mary Smith or whoever. It's about 11 p.m. And right before the show, someone said, hey man, break a leg.
No.
Well, guess what happened? In the middle of the show, I tripped on the crappy stage, getting off to hand the mic.
Oh, jeez.
And I landed awkwardly on my right foot and snap. I could feel it. I had broken what's called the metatarsal bone, and I just broke it. It was a spiral fracture, and the show must go on. So I did 2 shots of Jameson.
Get the fuck out of here. That's too...
some other illegal substance, and no, that's not. It's legal. The Jameson's legal, and I just kept going.
That's
and we ended the show. It was a great show. After that, I went to the emergency room that night, and they said, hey, you broke a leg. Thank you.
That is unbelievable.
It's your story.
That kind of snap, I can handle gore, I can see surgeries.
It was weird, like
broken feet kill me.
It was just, I never had a broken bone in my whole life. And when I landed on, you knew, like, it's not like it was in my shoes, nothing came out of the skin, but it was like, you could feel click, and like you knew something was, I mean, it was something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, anyways.
That's horrifying.
So, you know, that's true stand-up, when you actually break a leg.
It's true.
On stage.
Now, quick question. How many times have you fixed that stage at Torres?
Well, the first year, and by the way, the person that ran this, Lou Otero, is one of my great friends, and he really is responsible for bringing the entire stand-up, amateur, no charge at the door comedy scene in many ways to life in Miami with that room. Another person is Will Lopez, and oh my gosh, and my friend, the doctor,
Alex
Mauricio, who they used to come to my room, and they
have their own
at the same time they opened theirs, but theirs is every few weeks or once a month. And so there's many Miami comics, Ricky Koo, I mean, there's many that have started that sort of thing. But anyways, to answer your question, the first year though Lou was fantastic, it was hard for us to get a budget for a really big stage. So yeah, I would bring one from Publix.
Yeah, the pallets.
And we would just put the carpet by the door, we just put it over it.
Yeah.
And they'd keep it there, but sometimes someone would come by and just throw it away. So for a good year and a half, we didn't have one until one of our old friends, Keith, who was an older gentleman who was a living pirate and lived at Taurus. He was great. He actually built the stage for us. And God rest his soul, he and sadly many other comedians I know that are gone now. But yeah, but I broke my foot on stage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I ask is because a couple of weeks ago they asked me for a quote to rebuild the stage, and they decided to keep doing it the way they were doing it before. So I'm curious if
first off,
I'm gonna get another phone call. I hope I don't.
You are the Jesus of comedy, so your carpentry skills would be fantastic, but I would imagine that'd be very expensive. Because, by the way, in case you don't know, comedy clubs, cheap. Cheap. You have a comedy night, cheap. Because the owner's cheap, manager's cheap. No, they're great. It's cheap.
You ever have chocolate wine? I have. Comedy clubs.
We're pretty cheap. We work basically almost for nothing, sadly. Yeah. And there's very low overhead, and they can just fire us anytime they want, which happens quite often. But I'm glad they at least asked you.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope nobody breaks a leg aside from only a performative broken leg.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to tell me about this?
Yeah. This is an iPhone. I'm just kidding. Well, first off, thanks again for having me out here.
Dude, thank you for coming out. It's my pleasure.
And we were also here with another friend that came along with us, and she's fantastic. Taught us a lot. In addition, as you know, to being a comedian around South Florida, I'm also a professor. I have been for the last 20 years at Miami-Dade College and now FIU. I'm a sociologist, and I went to grad school for that. A sociologist means someone that studies society and is poor. But anyways, and I teach a lot about South Florida culture and history. And part of the culture and history of South Florida is the environment. And that was what's cool about today, being out there on that trail. And I'm also a local native Miamian. My family came here back in the mid 1900s, that's like
A little while ago.
That's absurd, right? You know, so the only foreign countries we knew back then were places like Pembroke Pines or some bizarre place that was a joke that didn't work right now. Anyway, so I do a lot of South Florida history, and I do this in my shows, as you know. I do one-man shows, comedy, South Florida culture, but I'm also, a lot of people don't know, like, just because I'm a comedian and weird and wear a lot of wigs and a slightly transsexual, weird, whatever I am in many ways, I'm very much an environmentalist and an outdoor eco person in South Florida, not so much as others, but I grew up here in South Florida and in a very active outdoor family. And I thought today, while we were walking through the glades, I'd pull out some samples of, most of these were already on the ground, by the way, of some interesting things that I thought you students out there would love to know about. Is that okay?
Absolutely. This is a lot of what the show is about, is sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. So by all means, if the battery allows it, do whatever you can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do it fast. We have a few, yeah?
One of the things we learned is that these batteries don't last that long. So
okay, all right. Let's start with this. This is called the gumbo limbo. These are all native trees you only find in South Florida. The gumbo limbo is called the tree of life. You can stick it in the ground and it will grow. So when I'm done with this, I'm gonna stick it in the ground and it'll grow into a tree. But it's also known as the tourist tree because its skin turns red and peels off.
That's hilarious.
The gumbo limbo, great tree.
That is fantastic.
This is a really interesting little thing here. This is, you see these everywhere in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale.
Air plants.
They're called air plants. This costs you about $25 now at Home Depot, but they're everywhere here and they're somewhat protected. This one fell off the tree, I'm gonna put it back. They're also known as bromeliads. And the bromelade, this one's a little dead right now, but it's not dead. They bloom once a year, and these are actually related. They live on the trees as air plants, and they're related to the pineapple. Yes,
that's awesome.
They're the cousin of the pineapple. You don't want to eat this one, but you can't eat them, but they're deliciously beautiful, right? The bromelade, and they supply a lot of wildlife. In fact, I think I see Ricky Cruz in there. It's kind of cute. Okay, all right. There's hedges all over South Florida. Hedges, they're that big thing. But this is the coolest hedge. This is the cocoa plum. The cocoa plum, native to South Florida. Why? Because they make beautiful glossy hedges, but they also provide a little plum that only certain birds and animals in South Florida eat, and they're native to South Florida. And they're really pretty. The cocoa plum, also named after a place where really, really rich soccer moms live. Yeah. Oh my God, like, I live in Cocoa Plum, and like, my kid goes to Belen, and like, we're gonna vacation. I went to college, but like, I'm from Spain.
I've quoted woodworking in Cocoa Plum.
Yeah.
It's very,
if
anybody who's watching who lives in Cocoa Plum, needs a TV unit, please let me know.
I'll give you three. Cocoa Plum. This is a piece of sawgrass. You see sawgrass all over the Everglades. Why they call it sawgrass? Well, it's because it's a grass, largest prairie sawgrass in the United States. You go like this, no problem. But if I were to go like this, I would need stitches because it is extremely sharp sawgrass. This is for my gay leprechaun character. Here's to you, here's to me, friends forever we shall be, but if we shall never disagree, here's to you, screw me. And then finally...
You're not gonna say what it is?
No.
It's moss.
This is a type of moss that actually came out of the canal and it dried. Okay. But it looked funny and it'd tell the joke. This is a wild coffee. You only find the Everglades. It's a wild coffee. You actually can't make a coffee. Well, you could. Native Americans sometimes do, but it's not very good. But it's cheaper than Folgers. And then this, of course, is the the palmetto tree, cabbage palm, Florida thing. And what's cool about these, this is a dead one. Any of these sable palms you see them everywhere. You see them on the sides of highways. They're called cabbage palms because if you go down to the root and you cut it out, you can eat it like a cabbage. And that is Biology of the Everglades 101.
Fantastic, Freddie. Fantastic. You sound like me when they give me the light. I still squeeze 8 jokes into one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is one of my jokes.
Yes.
Basically.
Which never works, but we do it anyways.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to learn more about Florida history and tours, can I say that?
Absolutely.
If you
promote yourself. Promote anything you want to promote. Your comedy, your tours.
My comedy, freddystebbins.com. Check it out. It's a little bit outdated, but I'm getting new headshots tomorrow. Thanks, Abby Ballin. And that's my comedy career going on there. But as a professor, I also have my own company, Freddy Miami Tours. Freddy Miami Tours. And I do these kind of fun, whimsical, somewhat historically based tours of all the neighborhoods in Miami, Little Havana, South Beach, Art Deco, Coconut Grove, Little Haiti.
I'll put links to all of that in the description. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, this thing is blinking at me, so why don't we go ahead and sign off? Freddie, thank you so much for coming on OTC.
My man. Oh, and I also want to wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. How you know it was my birthday? Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want to help the channel grow, you can subscribe or like, or hit the notification bell, or leave a comment down below. I'll try my best to answer, so long as you're swinging above the belt. If you really want to help, you want to help me feed my guests and pay my bills, I will put links to my Venmo and Cashapp and Patreon down below. If you like my guests, I will also put tags to their social media in the description. Always remember that here at OTC, we encourage our viewers to respectfully and responsibly enjoy the outdoors, know your local ordinances, abide by leave no trace principles, learn something cool, and I'll see you on the next hike.